Hey guys, step on the ball here. In the kind of a mood for a nice chill flight down to Miami tonight. Can kind of groove with this music here. Kind of getting down with it. Just prepping the TBM. Pause system test, okay. All right. All working as we hope. So welcome aboard. Today we're flying the beautiful, the elegant November 107 Juliet, the HotStart TBM, down to Miami. Now, of course, as people do, the very first thing that happens on the stream is that someone spawns in right next to us. Let's take a look outside and see what that looks like. Oh, that's not what I intended to do. Thank you. All right, we have an airplane inside ours. Okay, he has recognized the situation and has taxied to a different parking area. Well, that was very kind of him. So we have the airplane opened up tonight. The GPU is connected, and our passengers are just about to get loaded in. We do have 6 passengers going down to Miami tonight. Take a look at that over here on the SimBrief routing and the SimBrief operational flight plan that we've created for our flight down to Miami tonight. That flight, not a long flight, not a terribly long flight anyway. We're looking at, let's see, let's get that pulled up and on the stream there so everybody can take a look at it. We're looking at a flight time of about 1 hour and 10 minutes, and we'll see a little bit more about that later. Looks like it's about 264 nautical miles over the ground and 273 flying miles, at least the way it's planned. We're going to be flying down at flight level 230 down there, and we're going to use about 1,200 pounds of block fuel here. SimBrief has done these calculations for us. I'm still working on figuring out exactly how accurate SimBrief is, but the fuel burn certainly is spot on. I did check that on a previous flight. Not so sure about the other calculations, but we're going to just let that slide. The intended route down to Miami tonight was, and I say was because we recently got a PDC from Mr. Joshua, who's working Orlando ground on VATSIM tonight. And we got a PDC that included a reroute, and that reroute includes Tipster. So a fix named Tipster. So tonight will be direct radar vectors to Tipster, and then the Melbourne VOR to join the Hiley 7 arrival into Miami, and RNAV arrival into the Miami aerodrome. As you can see here, the block time is 1 hour and 30 estimated and 1 hour and 20 scheduled. We do have 6 passengers. We're pretty heavy. The max takeoff weight, 7,400 pounds, and our estimated takeoff weight, 7,100 pounds. And as you can see here, behind us, we're getting a little darker. It's getting late. Well, not that late. It's 8:30 in the evening here in the east, but certainly darker to the eyes anyway. So back quickly to the SimBrief routing. Let's just look at our weather situation. The route is fairly familiar to me. I'm not going to spend time reviewing that. I'm certainly not going to read NOTAMs. So let's look here. Oh, we have some segments. Convective segments. Okay, that makes sense. I did see some pretty bad weather across both the Jacksonville and Miami um, center areas when I looked at the map. So this does make sense. So we're going to be on lookout for that. Coastal waters, 70 east of Treasure, 50 southeast Key West. So it's a pretty big area there. So from the Treasure VOR down to the Key West VOR, and the thunderstorms moving from 0 at 10 knots. Okay, so an east to west flow of the thunderstorms, and the top's above flight level 450, so that tells us we're not going to be able to climb to avoid it. We're going to have to divert to avoid it. And luckily, the wonderful HotStart TBM has just what we need, has a wonderful weather radar system that we're going to employ. Let's see what the local airport weather looks like. So the surface observation at Orlando, 10 statute mile visibility. The wind 0 at 6, so that's not too bad. Not much of a crosswind anyway. Thunderstorms, few at 3,500 cumulonimbus. Well, this could be a problem actually. This could be a big problem. I think we're going to have to do a bit more inspection of that when we get into the airplane. I'm not going to worry too much about those additional layers. We are going to be IFR. More concerned about the thunderstorm activity. The altimeter here at Orlando, tree 008. We do, let's see, we do have, I believe, an Orlando ATIS, so we'll copy that before we go. And our Miami weather, at least as it stands right now, wind variable at tree knots, also 10, about the same cloud condition, sky cover condition. The altimeter's a little lower down there, and distant lightning northeast and southeast of the field. And the future weather still shows showers in the vicinity, and that's yeah. So nothing going on there. There's some the 18th at 1700. That's way in the future. We're not going to worry about that. We're definitely going to be making this flight tonight, and not much to worry about. So again, not going to read the NOTAMs here. So let's just drop down to the map and take a look at some of the weather that's going on and the areas of convective segment area. So this is our routing from Orlando down the east coast of Florida into Miami on the Highly 7 arrival. This is our area of isolated embedded cumulonimbus clouds to flight level 480. That's quite the area. That is a typical Florida day, I would say. We would have expected easterly winds, and we see them, but not much doing there. Let's see. This is flight level 240. This is the closest to our cruise altitude, so we can expect pretty much a headwind the whole time, and until we're on the downwind leg from Miami, and that's okay. We can deal with that. And here is our sort of profile. It's Florida, so as you can see, there's literally no terrain to worry about. We'd expect our top of descent sometime after Canes on the arrival. And that is that. Okay, let's be done with the sim brief routing for now. And let us ensure that we have Navigraph up to date with what we need to have Navigraph represent for us. And I have loaded this in from SimBrief automatically, but I am just going to add the lovely addition of Tipster. So we didn't get Tipster from that came from so that's Tipster, huh? Okay, so you know what? This would have made more sense as that's a little suspicious. So what they've done is they've routed us radar vectors Tipster, which is fine. That's no problem. But probably, let's see, the arrival into Miami tonight, the Highly 7. If you look at the Highly 7, we have a couple of VORs on the arrival, Melbourne and Treasure. And so they have sent us to Tipster, Melbourne, which is the dogleg back, and then down the Highly 7 arrival. And so this orange line, by the way, represents the alternate airport, which is in this case, I believe, um, Orlando as well. So just ignore that. But what we should have probably done is picked up the Highly 7 at Treasure. And that's probably what will happen because when we get to Miami Center, I suspect they're not going to want us to make a dogleg back to Melbourne to get into Miami tonight. So what I am going to do is program it to start at Melbourne as our clearance clearly states. And we are going to see if we can make something else work from a flying it standpoint. But we will be prepared to go to Melbourne from Tipster on the odd occurrence that that is actually what they would like us to do. And so let's turn off Navigraph and let's get into the aircraft over here. And let's get this bad boy set up. So I have turned on the aircraft. I've powered it up. It's running on the GPU, which is sitting out here right now. It's not very loud because I have the headset on. But of course, if I take the headset off, it's even lower. So you're not going to be able to hear too much there. But now what you should hear are any of the aircraft sounds, like the door shutting. Let's see. Let's see if you can hear that okay. Not very well. Let's turn that up just a hair. There we go. Now you can hear a little bit of it going. I don't want to leave the door shut though because, oops, because this will start barking at us about the heat. And you know, it's Florida and the outside air temperature is 29 degrees Celsius at 8:30 in the evening. So we do have to be careful of that. All right, let's go over and I like to get the flight plan put in while the engine's not running. Otherwise, we're just burning fuel for no reason. Our passengers, let's just pretend they're not on board right now, and that'll give us some time to get this in. So let's turn on the flight plan and let's get rid of this flight plan from last time and start afresh here at Orlando. And as I told you before, Tipster is the first fix that we've been given routing to. There's Tipster, and it's 51 nautical miles from us, bearing 141. That seems reasonable. And from there, we're going to select KMIA, and we're going to let the machine do the rest by selecting procedure and then arrival. And oh, the Annie. You know, I'm so tempted. We should have flown the Annie just to cause more trouble than it's worth for folks. But instead, we'll be kind and fly the RNAV arrival. Okay, so the Ormond transition, sure, let's do that. Ormond is well north of where we need to be, but nevertheless. So if we're not careful, this would sequence us Tipster, Ormond, Mallet, Pac-Man, Melbourne. Let's not do that. Let's see if we're able to clear Ormond. We are. Clear Mallet, clear Pac-Man. Now this is set up the way that we want it to be set up, right? So we have Melbourne, Treasure VOR, and then all of the right stuff down to our friendly Miami area down there. Of course, Kane's Simba. I'm by a cloud that looks like a lion. That must be Simba. Or I'm by a fix, I guess, that looks like a lion. That must be Simba. All right, it looks like our flight plan is all buttoned up, ready to go. We're going to hit that. Now, let's work through some of the other instructions that we received here on the clearance from ATC. So I'm just going to read that to you. So the first thing we see is .com1522, our call sign tonight, .com1522. Yeah, you know what? I did hear that as well, Snifty to Quebec. I have heard that Miami does have the friendliest tower controller in VAT USA, but I also heard he's flying and not working tonight. That's so strange. So we heard the same thing, but I think he has the night off and he's streaming or something. Um, that's all I know. Let's see. So .com 1522 is departing Orlando in a TBM 9. That's checked. Our transponder beacon code is 0712, and we're going to listen to the ATIS, but I believe we're going to be taxiing with that sucker on tonight at the Orlando airport. Flight level 230 is our cruise altitude tonight, but we are asked by ATC to maintain 5,000. And so we are going to maintain 5,000 here as a courtesy, and also because we don't want to go to the FAA jail. That would be a bad day. We're going to get the weather in just a bit, so we will pick it up then. We've already got our route in. Our departure frequency, 124.8, and that's not surprising. So we'll talk to the Central Florida Tracon there on 124.8, and plan runway 18 right. Now that's something that they probably might not tell you. I don't know, maybe they would. I'm not a real world pilot, at least not to the extent that I would fly out of Orlando International and expect to get a PDC anyway. And but plan 18 right, sure, that sounds good to me. If I recall, 18 right is probably going to be the most advantageous runway here for us, if I recall the airport diagram correctly. And I'll just get that pulled up on Navigraph and confirm indeed that if we touch this little button here, you'll see that we're over here on the west ramp here at what appears to be the FBO GA parking, and 18 right is here, so we actually couldn't ask for a snazzier runway here at Orlando, so we'll take it and run with it. All right, so that's the runway sorted, and we kind of have an idea of what our taxi instructions are likely to be. Do not reply to this message. Push and start at pilot's discretion. Well, we don't have to worry about that. We're not pushing tonight, but we will start when we're ready. And contact ground control with the current ATIS short of entry to the taxiway. All right, that sounds like a good plan to me. So if I were going to write this in craft model here, I would, of course, write the altitude 5,000, the frequency 124.8, and the squawk code 0712, and we'll expect flight level 230, 10 minutes after departure. All right, excellent. All right, I think we're ready to go on that. We have the initial altitude set, so that's rocking and rolling. Our landing field elevation is literally 6 feet above sea level in Miami. And now we just have the pre-flight of the aircraft to do. So I have already conducted the initial inside inspection, so we do not need to run through that. But I believe that we do need to pick up with sort of the pre-start checklist. And so let's get that done. Okay, so we do need to ensure that the parking brake is set, and now in order to do that, I need to wheel over to the brakes and depress the brakes and turn on the parking brake. Of course, that is how a real parking brake works. It captures the brake pressure that's inside the brake system, so we do have to create that pressure with the brake first before we do anything. And then I believe we're ready to prepare our cockpit here, but the first thing I want to do is get the GPU off, go onto the battery, have them tow that away, close up the doors, and kind of get things going, because once we're ready to go here, we're going to be ready. But you know, there's one matter of something that I need to do here before we get rolling, and that is pick up the ATIS. So 121.25 is the ATIS frequency here at the lovely Orlando International Airport. So we'll tune up 121 1/4.
It's on road between runway 17 right 35 left and runway 17 left 35 right may be mistaken for runway lights. Advise on initial contact. You have information echo.
Okay, echo. Let's listen to the whole thing.
Orlando International Airport 8 is information echo. 0010 Zulu Special. Wind 09 4 and 8. Visibility 10. Few clouds at 3,500. Few clouds at 9,000. Ceiling 25,000 broken. 30,000 broken. Temperature 29er. 2.23. Altimeter 3008. Simultaneous approaches in use. ILS runway 17 left 18 right in use. Landing runway 17 left 18 right. Departing runway 17 right 18 right. North to airmen. Runway 18 left 36 right closed until 111. 17 right 35 left closed DLY 040. 01200 until 1025. Read Michael hold short instructions. Birds and deer on and in vicinity of airport. ATX in use. Operate transponders with altitude reporting mode and ADS-B if equipped enabled on all airport surfaces. Right lights on road between runway 17 right 35 left and runway 17 left 35 right may be mistaken for runway lights. Advise on initial contact. You have information echo.
That is a long ATIS, and it's quite funny actually. It reported the wind as 094. Not sure I've ever heard an ATIS do that. Maybe that is something that happens, and maybe I'm just a bit ignorant, but I think it's typically reported in round 10 increments. I believe that is the story of that thing. So we will let that slide and not question it. We'll just take it as the VATSIM gospel, and we'll begin our work here to get things squared away. So with the payload manager, we'll go ahead and close up the doors, and we'll get the battery switch to battery right here, and we'll disconnect that GPU down there, and that's fine. We're all good to go on that. Let's get the oxygen on. Let us now confirm that the parking brake is set. The chocks are removed from the wheels, and let's just start this bad boy up. So I am using the honeycomb yoke, the honeycomb alpha flight controls, which you obviously can't see, and I'm just going to turn that guy a bit, and so he's going to start, the starter will engage based on my turning the switch. 2 seconds on, we will have started the timer. The timer is now running here, and we're watching for in 1, and we are over 13%. Put that puppy to low idle, and we're looking for 30% before 30. So we're looking here at the NG gauge, and we're at 22 seconds, and there's 30, so we've met that, and now we want 50 before 60, and we're easily going to achieve that. We're already at 40% NG, and we're looking for 50 before 60. We have plenty of time for that. That is good. No hung start, no hot start. Okay, and now that we're at this, we're going to turn that on, and we're rolling. We have an engine start. You can hear it if I take those headsets off, and I think I'm just going to kind of leave them off for just a second. So now that we're up and we're running and everything is sort of in the green, or stabilized at least, we're going to just go ahead and get our bleed on. We'll turn on the AC so that our passengers don't begin to complain. The virtual passengers are in the aircraft, by the way. We'll get the pitot heat and the stall heater on. Thank you very much. And we will engage the inertial separator as we do. Okay. I believe that we need to do a few other minor things here to get the plane set up. So let's turn on the autopilot and the trims. Let's get the fuel selector to auto, and let's test the shift. Currently on the right fuel source. And now on the left fuel source. And let's just leave it there so it can burn off of the left No problem. Um, Now, interestingly, I did not turn on the auxiliary boost pump for the fuel system. So I'm going to flip that to auto. It should have been on for the start. That is my mistake, and that's what I get for not properly using my checklist and kind of being lazy about things tonight on the stream. That is, I suppose, a fault of having a 2 hour nap. Well, not quite 2 hours. Having a 1 hour nap just after work before the stream never hurts anybody. Let's get the transponder squawking. So it's going to squawk altitude. We're going to do that even though we're on the ground. We're going to do that for the purposes of the system here that they have at the airport. And we want to make sure that we're in compliance with all of those rules. So CAS is looking good. So we have the inertial separator on. That's an expected message. The parking brake is engaged. We expect that as well. And now I'm just going to use the honeycomb flight control system to set the trim. So you can see here the trim, the rudder trim is going to go into the green here, and then the elevator trim is going to come down here for takeoff. And now that is prepped. Now, once again, we're a little concerned about tipster there and all that jazz, and that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and set the toga um, indication on the flight director there. And then there is one more matter of something we need to do over here, and that is, I'll do it like this so that you guys can see how to do this if you've never done it before. But basically, what we need to do here is get this and this and turn on the weather radar. So we have to put that on standby here. That'll get it warming up. And this will be turned on once we launch, or maybe even on the ground we'll operate it. And we'll have to make sure we're short of the runway or something before we do that. But, you know, I'm not particularly concerned about that. Um, the uh, the weather radar is looking pretty spiffy around Orlando right now. Don't really foresee much of a problem until we get closer to the Miami area. So we're not going to worry about turning that on the ground based on observation and look at our NexRad weather radar that we have available to us. So we'll put it back on flight plan mode, and we'll just run through the checklist now, the starting engine checklist. All right, so the G1000 is initialized, the MFD is initialized, the throttle's at flight idle. Yep, that's good. The engine parameters were checked. The auxiliary fuel pump is in auto mode. That's good, and we have selected the main generator source. I'm gonna skip testing the generator source right now. I'm not really feeling like messing with that. So, of course, your mileage may vary on something like this if you are flying with something that's prone to failures or whatever. The AP trim switch is on, the bleed's set to auto, the AC switch is auto, the pressure mode's auto, the control selector is as required. The hot airflow is all the way to the right. The standby instruments. Oh, look at this. You know what? I'm glad we did the checklist, right? Something about the checklist that's always a little helpful. Get this out of the way, right? There's also another thing we can do here right
North
now.
to
Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Put the ATIS back on. So we know that we're going to be taxiing and talking to the tower on 118.45. So we can get that tuned up and put into our active frequency, and we'll begin to hear some radio chatter, which you guys might be interested to hear anyway. I don't know. And at this point, I believe we're probably operating with 2 viewers, and I have no idea. These are probably people I know and don't need to listen to ATC, and it'll probably confuse the pudding out of them because they're already maybe listening to a frequency. So that's the Orlando Tower. And our departure frequency, 124.8, or as the Brits say, decimal 8. And I guess I shouldn't say the Brits. I really should say anybody who doesn't fly in the United States or isn't a United States air traffic controller says decimal. But anyway, 124.8, 124.8 megacycles there for the Orlando approach that we'll call once we're off. Okay, so back to the checklist. The altimeter setting is there. The radio set, the nav set. We are going to be departing on a heading most likely. So we'll align that when we get down to the runway, and we'll fly out to, we'll climb to 1,000 feet before engaging the autopilot, and then use the heading mode on the AP to fly, because that'll be most comfortable for our passengers. We don't need to worry about the de-icing panel right now. I guess if we get to a temperature that's a concern and we're in some icing conditions, we'll worry about that, but we're going to try to not fly through icing conditions if we can help it, because the last time I did that, my experience wasn't so good. And the inertial separator is on. All right. So we're going to taxi here. So let's call. Well, first of all, let's get some instructions for taxiing. Um, our taxi light needs to come on. Yes. Parking brake off. The flight controls, I did check those. You can just pretend that I did anyway. The flaps set to takeoff. You know what? Not yet. I want to do that when I'm short of the runway. I don't want to risk taxiing with the flaps out, even at the takeoff setting, because that is just extra surface area that's exposed. And if we kick up a rock or something into my flaps, I'll be pretty unhappy. The CAS system is checked and the landing field elevation is checked. Okay. We have our weather radar priming up. Let us call for taxi, and then let us roll out. Just as a reminder, here's where we're at, and here's where we want to be, right? So we are at the pink triangle, and we want to be in the area here of 18 right. So we're probably going to get taxi via Alpha and Bravo 1 or Bravo 2. We'll see what we get when we call up our friendly Orlando Tower, and we'll just take Navigraph off and we'll give them a call now. The first thing I'm going to do, however, is turn off this cabin light, because that's probably not something that we need to be to have on. We do have our nav light on. I had turned that on already. We'll turn on our taxi light when we're ready to taxi. So that's a little better. Although I do want somewhere up here. Here it is. Let's see. There we go. A little bit of panel lighting. There we go. Now we can see what we're doing. And we'll go ahead and give Orlando Tower a call. And God forbid Echo's not current, but I'm just going to say Echo anyway. And they did instruct us that they wanted to call short of the actual taxiway. They must have a problem with that here, if that's something that they've specifically called out. So we will oblige them and make sure that we don't call until we get over there. So we're just going to signal our friends over in the we're going to signal our friends that we'd like to go, flash our taxi light at them. They're going to let us know that it's okay to go out. We're going to turn off the parking brake. We're going to put on the headset to quiet down the cockpit environment, and let us turn just a bit out here and get short of Alpha. So this is my first time flying here. I'm not quite sure exactly where everything's at. Sometimes sceneries can be just a little bit confusing, at least for me anyway, because there we go. That seems like a pretty reasonable place to call. We'll call them short of Alpha, and we'll see what that sounds like. Oh, and what's our call sign again? .com1522. I should never have done that, because I guarantee you at least once in this stream I am going to call us November 107 Juliet. That's just a foregone conclusion on my part. So listen out for that, and if I do that, put it in the chat, and yeah, that'll be fun. And 118.45 and Orlando Tower. Orlando Tower, .com1522 is short of Alpha at the GA ramp with information Echo, request taxi. Hopefully I have everything wired up there for VATSIM to work.
.com1522 Orlando Tower, do you see Orlando ground online on 121.8?
I do now that you pointed it out. Thank you. I'll give them a call. .com1522. Dope. I did it. What do you mean I did it? So I can't quite figure out what your name is. I'm going to call you Sniffed It. Sniffed It. That's a joke, of course. And great. Okay, so this now screws it up. So I'm going to actually flip this back over here. And instead of that, I'm just going to go 121. Now, were they online the whole time and I just missed it? I would like to know if you can check and see how long Orlando Ground's been online. I would like to know that because I, I feel like I looked them up and I didn't see them, but we'll give them a call anyway and see what they. All right, 21-8 Orlando Ground. OrlandoGround.com 1522, short of Alpha, information Echo, request taxi. We're at the GA ramp.
.com 1522 Orlando Ground. Good evening. Runway 18 right. Text by Alpha Bravo 1 Orlando Altimeter 3008.
Okay, 18 right via Alpha and Bravo 1.com 1522. Thanks. Okay, and there we go. I guess that settles it.
Good.
The Alpha Bravo
Yes,
1
sir.
instruction
do you mind
was
telling
correct.
us what Jacksonville's running currently in terms of runways and approaches?
This
Sure,
is
let me go take a look for you.
This is a
Thank you
pet
very much.
peeve, I believe, of controllers being asked about airport conditions elsewhere.
Good evening, Orlando Ground, FedEx
Orlando Ground
9901.
probably wouldn't
Requesting
know
clearance to
anything
Jacksonville.
about the runway conditions at
And
Jacksonville.
FedEx
I'm sure that they could figure it out, but
Orlando
let me get on
Ground. Good
the
evening. You're clear to Jacksonville
center
International
line
Airport
here.
via
It's
the
very
Orlando
distracting, I
Port
think,
departure.
to
That's
try to
out.
listen to
Maintain
ATC and also
5000
talk to
expected
you
flight level,
guys
or correction expected
in the
10,000
microphone.
10 departure.
And
Departure 62 is William 124.8.
all right, so it looks like the chat says I was wrong. Now, see, I'm taxing 15 knots here. I don't like, I
Roger, Orlando
hate
Ground.
taxing
Repeat
so
the
fast.
frequency.
There's
Sorry,
just no
the swap
reason
code
for it.
for FedEx 991.
And I know there is a reason for it
071.
because a professional pilot probably would
Roger that, FedEx
be able to
991.
manage
Clear
more
to
than one
Jacksonville via
thing.
Orlando for
But
departure.
honestly,
Climb
when
maintain
you
5000 feet
are
initial.
trying
Expected
to
flight level,
manage a
sorry,
sim
10,000
and a
10
stream,
minutes after
it
departure.
is just
Departure
not
frequency 124.8,
conducive to a
squawk
fast
0717.
taxi when you're looking at
.com
something
1522
in
monitor
such
tower
a
118.3.
small
For
frame
correction
of reference. You know,
118.45.
in the aircraft, you have the ability to feel by this sort of by the literally the seat of your pants what's going on, and it makes it a little easier to know what's
FedEx
going on. But
991, your
nevertheless,
taxi is
whatever,
correct.
we're
Advise
okay.
ready taxi, plan runway 18 right. We'll see you soon.
Roger 18 right, Wilco, FedEx 991.
It looks like we might.
1522, not sure occurred, monitor tower 118.45.
Okay, we'll monitor tower 18.45, .com 1522. Almost called us.
Country 2134. It looks like you're doing the 140s in
480 Hotel, 5 miles from Miami, turn right heading 2, or turn right heading 150.
He must have known I was talking to you all. Okay, so here we go. 118.45, that's the tower.
234 Golf, 234 Golf Tango. You want frequency?
Window Tower 23 Golf Tango is on frequency. Just doing our run up.
234 Golf Hotel Roger, advise me.
I'm assuming that that is the aircraft that's in front of us. So, oh, that's okay. He can have a second. We'll try not to blind him with our taxi lights. So we're actually gonna.
Tower 234 Golf Tango holding short runway 18 right, and we're clear, or we're ready for takeoff.
234 Golf Hotel Orlando Tower. Hello, right crossing departure approved. Runway wind 100.
We're gonna keep our aircraft pointed straight ahead so that we don't push any light into his cockpit. We do not want to create a night vision scenario for him, mostly for safety, but also because we don't want to delay his takeoff any more than it's already going to be. Oh, look like he's going. So I'm going to put in the takeoff flaps now, and we're going to get the timer reset. It's already reset. It's ready to go. We are squawking. All we're going to have to do is flip on our lights, and we're going to need an instruction off the runway. So we'll hope that the tower guy will help us out with that by telling us what we need to do initially to get to Tipster, I believe is the fix. So we are monitoring. We are not to call him. We are now monitoring, and we will wait for Orlando Tower to let us know what to do. In the meanwhile, we'll do our before takeoff checklist. The master warnings: check the throttles, flight idle, the flaps are at takeoff, the ice system, the inertial separator set. We have the stall warning and the heater switch on. The stall heater and the pitot heater switch on. The flight controls are checked. The trims are set. The strobe light is on. No, it's not, but it's going to be. The CAS display is as expected.
Runway 18 right, line up and wait, be ready to go.
Wait right, line up and wait, and we'll be ready. .com 1522. All right, so he must have some landing traffic or something. Meanwhile, the fuel selector switch is auto. The aux BP is auto. Or the fuel pump is auto, the altimeter is set, the landing field elevation is set, the rotation speed is 85, engine instruments are set, the parking brake, we're entering the runway environment, turn on the strobe, turn on the landing light, and I think we're ready to go. So now let's align the heading bug so that we can easily come around to a different course if required. And we have aligned the heading bug.
Good afternoon, Bonanza 80 Hotel with you on left runway 18 right approach.
Bonanza 80
Now we wait.
Hotel Orlando Tower, continue the approach.
Continue approach 80 Hotel.
And we are ready for departure. So all the checklists are done.
Flight following?
You know what? Yeah, let's go ahead and get flight following. We're going to stand by.
Roger. .com 1522, turn left heading 090, wind 100 correction 090 runway 18 right, clear for takeoff.
Okay, flighting 090, runway 18 right, clear for takeoff. .com 1522. Okay, I'm actually just going to leave it on the heading mode because I feel like that's going to be faster for me. I'm going to turn to heading 090 after departure. Here we go. We are rolling. The lights are on.
And for golf.
The timer's running.
Departure 124.8.
Takeoff power is set. We're looking for 85 for the rotation. And we're just going to climb straight ahead. Here's 85. We're up. And let's see. There's that positive rate. The gear's coming up. And we will retract the flaps as well. And we're not going to turn heading 180 just yet. I'm sorry, 090 just yet, obviously, because we're still over the airport. But we are going to make sure that we maintain the runway center line. So we want to just make sure that we're not going too far afield from our heading here. And the climb rate is pretty good. We're close enough now to 1,000, I believe, where we can engage the autopilot. Let's do that. The yaw damper will come on. We'll go into heading mode. And we'll go into... Whoa, what in the world is that? That's not normal. Okay, flight level change mode to climb to 5,000.
2134, Orlando Tower, hello.
And now we will turn heading 090 that we're clear of the airport. And
.com 1522, contact departure, bye-bye.
Departure.com 1522. All right, now over to the departure frequency.
270 immediately, 34 Golf Tango.
And 34 Golf Tango, if you could climb to VFR at 1,500, I'd appreciate it. I'm not able to pick up a track on you at the moment. However, you are radar contact.
Roger that. We'll climb back up to 1,500, 34 Golf Tango.
And I am going to pitch up just a little bit because I want to climb at 124 knots. I'm not making my best rate of climb right now. And they haven't indicated that they would prefer a faster approach. And departure.com 1522, 3,700, climbing 5,000.
Alpaca 5 Whiskey Charlie, descend and maintain 6,000.
Descend, maintain 6,000, Alpaca 5 Whiskey Charlie.
.com 1522, Orlando departure, radar contact, climb and maintain 8,000, turn right, heading 150.
right to 150 and up to 8,000, .com 1522. Okay, so we will dial up 180 on the heading. And make sure that we've selected 8,000 for our stop altitude. Was it 140 or 180?
Number 234 Golf Tango, are you looking for flight following today?
That'd be nice if we could get just a little bit of assistance.
234 Golf Tango, roger. Yeah, you did call for flight following, that's my bad. 234 Golf Tango, roger. Just resume own navigation and remain clear of the Orlando Class Bravo airspace.
Alright, we'll stay clear of the Orlando Class Bravo, 34 Golf Tango.
We'll watch our torque. Departure, just confirm heading 140 for .com 1522.
.com 1522 heading 150.
150, .com 1522. Okay, and that's the altitude bug. That's obviously not what I intended to change. And so now using the honeycomb yoke 150 and stop altitude 8,000. We're watching our torque to continue climbing. We're going to do our after takeoff checklist, or climb checklist, I should say. We're climbing at about 124 knots or something close to it anyway. The yaw damper is on. The landing lights are on still. The pulse lights are off. The throttle is adjusted. The ECS panel temperature, everything looks good there. The torque is set appropriately. Our engine temperature is okay, and the de-ice system is as expected. So I would say our climb is going swimmingly well.
Right heading 270 vectors for the approach. Descend and maintain 5,000.
Turn right 240, descend, maintain 5,000 at back 5 Whiskey Charlie.
Let's ask departure about our routing. I think we need to go ahead and ask that because I'm just not confident about it. So let's just see what departure has to say about it. That might actually be a Miami Center concern, but we'll see. And departure.com 1522, a question when you have a moment.
.com 1522, go ahead.
So our clearance from clearance delivery, or from ground, I should say, was direct Melbourne after Tipster, but that's a dog leg. Can we expect direct Treasure after Tipster?
.com 1522, roger. You're clear to the Miami airport via radar vectors Treasure, Highway 7 arrival.
Okay, so via Treasure and the Highway 7 arrival, cleared at Miami airport. .com 1522.
1522, is that correct? Thank you.
All right, there we go. So we're on a heading now, so that doesn't make much of a difference. Oh, we have an over torque situation occurring, so we're going to just slide it back. We are level at 8,000. Don't care for that too much. Would like to begin climbing, but I understand they do have some restrictions that they probably have to deal with here. And let's take out Melbourne. I'm going to leave Tipster in, and when I get direct Treasure,
.com 1522, turn left heading 130, come and maintain 14,000.
130 and 14,000 for .com 1522. Okay, left heading 130 and up to 14,000. Let's see if we can get up there. That's 138. There we go. Flight level change mode, and pitch that sucker up until she starts climbing. And I do have an over torque situation.
I'm sorry, I had 240, turning 370, back 5 Whiskey Charlie.
Did he say 370? I think he said he's going to turn heading 370. That would be a treat. I would like to see that. So here we go. We're continuing to pitch up for the climb. We should continue to see a torque reduction here. We're getting a little buffet around. You know what? I'm just not in love with Active Sky XP. It's just a little too wonky. So let's see if that causes a problem for us. Not sure. I'm going to continue to.
Roger. Back 5 Whiskey Charlie.
I hate using mouses to control aircraft.
Contact Miami Center 135.17. Good night.
3517, .com 1522. Thanks for the service. Goodbye.
Departure Sun Country 2134 with you.
All right. Now, I probably know this guy.
Country 2134.
So let's see. Let's spin the wheel of ATC and see who it is. MiamiCenter.com 1522 12,400, climbing 14,000.
.com 1522 Miami Center, climbing tape level 230.
Flight level 230.com 1522. Okay, let's pop that puppy up to flight level 230. That is our final. We don't get any climbs beyond that. And let us also now disengage the inertial separator. We don't need that guy anymore, and that'll buy us a little bit of climb performance as well. So it'll take a second. Yeah. So as you can tell, I do have TeamSpeak open, and someone's decided to pop in and make some commentary on the stream. It doesn't bother me as long as they don't mind being on the stream. And
FedEx 66 can go direct Batoga at this time.
FedEx 66, clear direct Batoga, cross Batoga at and maintain 13,000, Miami altimeter 3003.
Clear direct Batoga, cross and maintain Batoga at, cross and maintain at 13,000, 3005 the altimeter, FedEx 66.
And I mean, I do need to let this controller know that I'm on a heading so that he can maybe give me direct I don't know what he's going to do, but I just need to let him know. And MiamiCenter.com 1522, for your information, we're heading 130 as assigned by departure.
.com 1522, clear direct Treasure VR.
DirectTreasure.com 1522. Okay, that is a little better. Let's see. Now we can go there and we can engage nav. And there's our expected turn to the Treasure VOR. And we are continuing our climb through 16,000. And now I'm a little late on this, but it's okay. We're going to turn off the landing light, the taxi light. So we're good. Okay, coming up on the transition altitude.
Unreadable from two guys. One at a time, please. American 52, Miami Center.
American 52, go ahead.
And when reaching, let's see, the altimeter today, 3008, which means flight level 180 is definitely above. So when we hit this, we should have a gap now that we have to, well, that doesn't seem right to me.
Other aircraft calling Miami Center, say again.
I think that might be a bug. The math doesn't work out on that, but follow up on that later. Well, once we get to our climb, we're already on the highly. I would say we're about 40 minutes outside or less outside of Miami. It's probably actually much less. It depends how much we get vectored around. It depends on a few different things that might come into play. So 30 to 40 minutes, that's my guess. It's not too bad of a flight down there. I am going to be going about 300 miles an hour once I reach flight level 230. So that should make things a bunch easier. I do have an aircraft there, if you can see it. Now, this will be fun. Let's I tell you what, after we're direct treasure, I believe what I'll do is engage the traffic map at that time and kind of show you how that works in the TBM. It's really slick. I do love this aircraft's capabilities, and it'll be a worthwhile demonstration. And then when we get to cruise, we are going to talk about an educational topic that I think everyone who likes aviation will be interested in, and we'll see how that goes when we get there. I have made the mistake there of flipping this thing over to my sim, or I'm sorry, Windows does this thing on your PC where it will minimize everything while you're trying to find something, and it's a little annoying because what it does is it minimizes the sim momentarily and causes a disruption, as I consider it, to the stream. That's a bit annoying to me, but that's okay. Worse things have happened, I suppose. But we will cover an educational topic related to audio tones once we get to the cruise. Now, if you've looked at my channel, you will see that there is a repeated segment. Oh, look at this. This is awful. I've turned on my own stream and you can hear me on it. This is such a rookie streaming mistake. A segment called Cruise University, and that's what we're going to do at Cruise. But if I make a mistake, and I have already made mistakes here, and I should have enacted the More You Know segment. So in honor of contacting the wrong controller for taxi, I will now implement a The More You Know segment here on the Step on the Ball stream. And that's the sign that I have learned something, maybe a hard lesson uh, in my flight today. So if something like that pops up again, we will get a The More You Know segment, a TMYK. And that will, if you come back and watch the videos later and you scroll through, oh, look at that. It did it again. That is so obnoxious to me. I'm going to edit that out in post-production so that anybody watching on YouTube doesn't have to watch me switching my screen around. That's so disruptive to the stream. It's really awful. I hate it. And I wish that that wasn't the behavior.
Palm Beach wind 080 at 11, running 10 left, clear to land.
Copy, the wind clear to land, so 10 left, 10 is following.
For the moment, let's just take a look at sim brief, or correction, the Navigraph route. So popping up Navigraph, you can see our intended route is along that green line there. We're direct the Treasure VOR, and that's going to put us on the Highly 7 arrival. If I come up here and I toggle that on and I ask to overlay it on the chart, we will get a picture of the Highly 7, and as you can see, we are headed direct to Treasure. That's down here, and we have reached cruise. So
Miami Center, good day.
I do need to do the cruise checklist. And the cruise checklist is
Land 9954,
engine performance is set at 100. This is expected. The yaw damper is on and engaged. The taxi light and the landing light is off. Pulse light is off. The throttle is set appropriately. The engine temperature is in the green. And the de-ice system is as required. That's the cruise checklist complete. All right, so I told you I'd do a couple of things when we get to the cruise, and I will do that after I take off Navigraph. There you go. You can see the aircraft again. Oh, look, we have an over-torque situation. I'm just going to back off the throttle here a little bit, maybe put it at about 99%. Let's look at how much fuel we're burning, first of all. We are burning 66 gallons per hour. We have a decent amount of fuel left. We did load with some reserve fuel per IFR requirements to be able to fly 45 minutes past your
Miami approach 124.85.
alternate airport.
485, FedEx 667, thank you.
Now let's turn on the weather radar, and also let's turn on the traffic radar. I think those are the two things that we need.
Clear direct Batoga.
Direct Batoga, .com 1522. All right, so we had a little bit of a unexpected blip there, so let's get that set up. Let's see, there's Batoga. Let's go direct, enter. Now we're flying direct Batoga with a slight right-hand turn. We would expect that. That's the direction that Batoga is. Let's take away the flight plan now. Let's put up the traffic map and turn it on operate, and then extend the range so we can see more. And that's a 40 nautical mile range. We'll leave that alone. And then now let's go to the weather radar and go to mode here and put it on weather. And there we go. And that's good. That's good because we're going to shoot the distance right here between this cell. Had we not gone direct Batoga, I believe we would have been in this cell. So I think what that is a case of a very observant controller looking out for an aircraft and sending us on a route that will protect us from the weather that we would otherwise need, have to face there. Although that cell is rather small, there is an area of red right there, and that looks kind of nasty. I don't like that too much. So we're going to just kind of thread the needle. Okay, so that's the weather radar working. I do. Ooh,
Alpha Miami Center, climb maintain follow 200.
I do see a little area there. I think we're gonna have to request a little bit of a diversion around that.
Miami Center, good evening. American 2879, currently passed through 11,000 for 16,000.
American 2879, Miami
Let's keep an eye on that.
370.
Climb maintain for level 370, American 2879.
This is a short flight. Perhaps Cruise University isn't such a great idea on a short flight. We are direct Batoga. Let's see, the flight mode enunciators indicate autopilot, GPS, and altitude hold mode. That's expected. 97, that's good. We should probably request deviation for this cell that we're approaching here. And let's do that with them now. And that's about 30 nautical miles ahead. So let's call them and ask for that. Let's ask for 15 degrees right, perhaps, for deviation on that. So let's see if we can get that.
Hey, can I tell Terry, welcome to Palm Beach, just to the left one able, ramp via Charlie, good day.
First, let's sync our heading bug so we can comply with whatever he says. Ah, yes, look at this. Actually, I think we'd like to go over the ocean. Miami Center.com 1522. I'd like to request 20 degrees to the left for weather.
.com 1522, deviation left of course approved when able, proceed direct Batoga and advise.
Okay, 20 degrees left of course, and we'll advise when we're able, direct Batoga. .com 1522.
Aircraft calling at Key West, what's your call sign?
Let's just put that up there so we can see.
1073 Miami Center.
That'll get it.
The Atlanta Airport.
And let's go to heading mode.
Maintain 3,000.
See if we can fly around that cell.
4750.
Clear to Atlanta, Corgi, then I've filed 3,000 initial 380 and 10 and squawk 4750.
Delta 1073, read back is correct. Runway 9 for departure, by ready taxi.
We didn't quite need 15 or 20 degrees, did we? No, we did not. Let's put it back 5 degrees to the right. And, oh, there's some rain. And we're negative 25. This is icing conditions. Maybe we did need 15 to the 5 to the left. Let's try to get out of this as fast as we can. This is not good. This is not good at all. Let's turn on the, well, let's monitor for icing. That wasn't too long of a situation there. Oh, that lightning. Did everybody see the lightning? This is not going well. This is not what I expected, but the weather radar did save us to some extent. So we'll see how this goes. I'm actually a little nervous about this. So we'll see about that. I'm glad we turned on the weather radar when we did. Otherwise, we would not have seen that cell. So perhaps I need to adjust the checklist to include a climb portion that turns on the radar, especially in inclement weather. Here's more Weather, this is not good. I'm a little confused about this. I'm not quite sure what to make of it. It looks like we're in an area that's pretty clear. So I don't really know why we would be getting that, other than the fact that the weather engine on X-Plane is just a little wonky. And we know that, right?
Miami Center, good evening, Copa 173.
173, Miami Center. American 52, runway 19 right, taxi via Whiskey, altimeter 3007.
Okay. We're just monitoring our airspeed here. Just to make sure we're not losing airspeed, that there was no icing buildup. You can turn on the ice light and inspect it, but that's just a little more than I feel like doing right now. Frequency is getting very busy. I believe what we should do now is see if it's possible for us to go direct Bitoga now.
Clear Atlanta, radar vectors Corgi, then it's filed.
So,
3000, flight level 3801, German
once this sort of passes us by, I'm going to assume that this is now this little section of rain there, and I'm going to just turn 5 back to the.
1325, read back correct.
There we go.
Call, right taxi, runway
Once it's past us and we're past it, I think we're going to try to go direct Batoga. So here we are in the rain again.
Miami Center, November 902, Sierra X-ray.
It's just little spurts, so that's probably okay. Now that guy's excited. I don't know if anybody heard him, but he's definitely excited. This is annoying. I do not like this. I do not like this.
Sierra X-ray, Miami Center. Hello, clear to
I
Atlanta.
do not like this.
That it's filed. Climb maintain 3000.
Deviation left is still approved, and we're just trying to get around it here.
4, 5, 6, 7.
This doesn't make any sense compared to the. I mean, it's still a good ways from us.
Okay, 92 Sierra X-ray is clear to Atlanta via Corgi radar vectors and it's filed. Climb maintain 9000, 42010 minutes after departure.
I would, just for clarity, I'm kind of doing some crazy stuff here on my heading. I would normally call this guy and let him know that I'm making these changes, but I can see on the VATSIM map I'm the only guy around. He probably doesn't care, and he's very busy, so I'm just out of respect, I'm trying not to give him too much trouble. So we'll just lay off of him a little bit.
Copa 173, Havana's offline, radar service is terminated, frequency change approved.
Roger, Copa 173, good night.
Delta 85 across Batoga at 13,000, Miami.
Oh, this is not going to go well. I have to get the icing. I have to get the airframe de-icing on. And I have to get the prop de-ice on. And I have to get the windshield heat on.
Delta 85, Miami Center.
Go ahead.
The problem here is that
cross Batoga at 13,000, Miami altimeter 3003.
we can't be in this too long, or we're going to have an ice buildup that's going to cause us to have a major problem. So we're kind of flying right into it now, so let's just go back south. See if we can get out of it. Oh, thank God. All right. We're still maintaining a decent airspeed.
Okay, I'm talking
oh,
to you, but you're not reading it back, man. You got to read it back. Delta 85,
I feel like this is going to cause a problem. Now, that's an interesting aspect of simulation. We aren't really able as simulator pilots to perfectly handle weather because of the tools that we have. In the real world, you can probably see just a little better than what we can see. And furthermore, you know, the radar matches the actual return values, that sort of thing. So I'm of two minds about how I feel about this. It looks like we might be able to go direct Batoga shortly.
1522, let me know when you're flying direct Batoga.
Yeah, we're going to let you know. We're still struggling with the weather here. .com 1522.
Sounds good, thank you.
And
410 Hotel Alpha cross Bayern at 11,000, Orlando altimeter 3008.
I think we might be clear of most of it. I believe there's a way. What we can do here is do a tilt situation. Let's see if let's see if I tilt up if I get any different radar returns, or if I tilt down if I get any different radar returns. No, I don't. Okay. All right. Well, we'll just leave that alone and leave it on tilt 0 for now. And you know what? I feel like maybe we're past the worst part of the weather. So at this point, let us go back up here and direct enter and go to nav mode and take a right turn. Miami Center.com 1522 direct Batoga.
.com 1522, Roger, cross Batoga at 13,000, Miami altimeter 3003.
3003 and Batoga at 13,000.com 1522. All right. Let's see.
Miami Center American 2879, request 15 degrees right of course for weather.
I'm going to go ahead and start my descent now.
American 2879, any chance you could do left?
Affirm, we could do 15 left.
We're going to dial up
Okay,
13,000.
879, left 15 degrees is approved. Let me know when you can take it direct.
The altimeter setting we'll get in just
left
a second.
We'll
start down.
Direct American 2879, thanks.
Let's just give it like 1,500 a minute. That looks like what that might be.
American 52, we're going to contact 1,700.
And we'll start our initial descent into Miami. Now, I need to go get the Miami ATIS, I believe. So we know that that's 119.15. So let's go ahead and copy the Miami ATIS so that when he switches us to approach, we have that on board and there's not questions. Plus, we can find out a little bit more about what's going on at the airport potentially.
Arrivals expect ILS runway 8 right, ILS runway 9er, localizer DME runway 8 left. Aircraft landing runway 9er or runway 12 can expect to land and hold short. Notify approach if unable. Departing runways 8 left, 8 right, and 9er. RNAV departure will be assigned heading due to weather. No TMs. Low level wind shear advisories in effect. Runway 12 is closed. Operate transponder with mode Charlie on all taxiways and runways. Has just weather information for the Miami area available from ATC. All aircraft read back all runway hold short instructions and assigned altitude. Advise on initial contact. You have information Sierra.
Information Sierra. And it was a voice ATIS. How cool. That's excellent.
Hemisphere 110, Miami Center, hello, cleared to Orlando. Radar vectors, the Lee County VOR.
It's very hard, isn't it?
1,010 minutes after departure frequency with me squawk 462.
It's very hard to hear.
Approaches are being conducted to parallel converging and intersecting runways. Arrivals expect ILS runway 8 right, ILS runway 9er.
I completely missed what I needed to hear because of the controller. I have comments here from the Brown Boy. Can I play the Piggy song? It's the best. Well, I don't know what that is, so I don't think I can play it. Plus, I'm kind of busy right now, as you can imagine.
2879, we're clear of the weather and able to go back on course.
Ricket 2879, clear direct stymie.
When I hear that start again, I'm going to turn off.
0053 Zulu. Wind 120 at 5. Visibility 10. Clouds view at 5,500. Clouds scattered at 8,500. Scattered at 1000. Temperature 28. Dew point 25. Altimeter 3003. Approaches are being conducted to parallel converging and intersecting runways. Arrivals expect ILS runway.
Okay. So we do have that now. That's great. And we can expect a frequency change, I think, to the Miami the Miami approach. That's 124.85. That's very conveniently close to the frequency from Jacksonville. We'll get that tuned up so that we're ready. We are still descending. We're about to be through the transition altitude. We're going to go ahead and set the altimeter, tree 00 tree. Hopefully that is consistent with the active SkyXP situation. So we're going to continue our descent here. We are 240 knots. That's not a bad speed to be. let's just take a look at where we're at from a routing perspective. If anybody's curious, pull up Navigraph. We are direct Batoga, which is this fix here, and we were assigned one 3000.
American 5-2,
and we
contact
are
125.05,
attempting to,
bye-bye.
we have 15 miles to go. We might need to increase our descent rate just a hair, maybe pick up 2,000 feet per minute just to make sure we're down, and pull back the throttle just a little bit to reduce the torque and the speed so that we're not busting through whatever altitude that he needs us at there for some reason. We can expect probably, I would imagine, just a wild guess, to be
.com 1522 contact Miami approach 124.85. Good night, Jason.
2485.com 1522. Good night, Patrick. Okay, let's see. Let's contact the Miami approach.
Hello, Delta 12.
MiamiApproach.com 1522 out of 15900 descending for 13000 at Batoga. We have information Sierra Miami.
.com 1522 Miami approach. Good evening. Expect the RNAV runway 8 left approach. The Miami altimeter 3003.
Okay, we'll expect the RNAV 8 left and 3003. .com 1522. Okay, so now we have an approach to expect. We have maintained just about the same speed that we were at when we came off the throttle, but now it is much more likely that we're going to hit 13,000 here in 9 miles at Batoga. And that is when we can probably expect a further descent instruction from our friendly controller here on the Miami approach. So I'm sorry about leaving the Navigraph up there. I know that's a bit annoying.
Roger, make straight in, runway 10 right. The winds are calm. Right.
We're going to turn on the inertial separator now. We can expect that means that we're going to have to, let's see, oops, I had it on already. It's a little dark in this cockpit. I
58 Gulf, Squawk Mode Charlie.
think we can see that may be the Fort Lauderdale Airport. Nope, that's the Miami Airport, I believe. Okay, good. So we're 13,000 now. We're level, and we're going to start slowing down, obviously, as some of that torque is used to maintain altitude. That's fine with me. I don't want to be super fast, but I am going to increase the torque a bit to stay somewhere around 230. Here's an expected master caution to indicate that the inertial separator is on. We have the altimeter set to 300 tree. We're 3.5, almost 3.6 minutes into our flight down to Miami today. We are still direct Batoga. We're 1.6 from that. After Batoga, we'll go direct Hailey. That is expected according to the arrival. And then Cairns, Simba, Jess, and Rubo. Cairns, Simba, Jess, and Rubo. From there, we can expect a vector. Let's go ahead and load the approach. We will go ahead and tune up the approach into the flight plan. And let's see.
Golf, runway 9 left, clear touch and go.
There we go. And we had the RNAV runway 8 left approach. So that I have to click on it because I can't read the doggone thing when it's so small. And the RNAV 8 left. All right, let's just come over here to our chart bag and look at this for Miami. So let's get the charts list open. And we might need to ask for a bit of a clarification on this. So, or maybe not. Let's see. Oh no, there's just this. So there's the RNAV GPS runway 8 left approach. This is 8 left and 8 right. Ah, beautiful. All right, so we do not need any clarification on that. So I'm going to select this, and we're going to select vectors, and the minimums, just in case we need them, up at Miami today for our approach are 279 feet. So we'll set this for 280. Round up to the nearest 10, hit enter, load the approach, but not activate it.
457, Roger. Can you direct Valley.
Yeah, we can take Valley, Lufthansa 457.
Lufthansa 457, roger, proceed direct Valley.
Now I'm curious to see, I'm going to take this off and put the flight plan up over here so I can kind of see what's going on.
Can we change that landing to a touch and go for runway 10 right, November 24 Bravo?
And I'm going to actually get the traffic radar pulled up over here again, the traffic map. That's interesting to me to test. So we can see that there's traffic behind us, 1,700 above. I'm going to go ahead and keep my speed up here because I don't want to be run over by him. So I didn't intend to get that slow. I meant to maintain about 230 knots. So let's see if we can do that. But what happened is when I turned on the inertial separator, it began to use, not use the torque, but 11,000 for .com 1522. And as you can see, there's traffic ahead at 12 o'clock and about, let's see, 20 miles, and he is 2,200 feet below us. So that's interesting to see there. We'll start that descent and we'll keep the speed up. We don't want anybody too close behind us. I mean, he's still 40 miles away. That's not a huge problem for us. But nevertheless, we don't want to be in the situation of causing a ruckus here in the on the approach. And I do want to get the Highly 7 arrival back up and load it in so that I can make sure everything is hunky-dory. So I do have it here. We'll just pop it up. We are going to run our approach checklist now. We're close enough where we can do that. So our descent checklist was already run, by the way. The altimeters, we can turn off our de-ice system. It looks like we're not going to have a problem with that. We set the altimeter, the fuel quantities checked, and the fullest tank is selected. Well, we're managing that automatically today. The inertial separator is on, and it's probably early enough that we can turn on the landing light. And we'll try to remember to turn on the strobe on final approach, but I'm not sure that that's going to happen. That traffic now is our 10 o'clock and 18 miles, 700 above.
Windcom, runway 10 right, clear for the option.
Clear 10 right, clear for option, November 24 Bravo.
And we're going to just make sure we don't have an over torque situation. There is that Opelika. I believe that might be Opelika. So somewhere just after the Opelika airport, we'll start our turn to the right. 8,000.com 1522. And that is another further descent. As we are becoming clear of conflict with departures, we're going to get a descent below that. But for right now, we must maintain 8,000 to prevent us flying into the departures that are below 8,000, below 8,000 at 7,000, departing Miami and turning northbound. So that's the reason why we're held out here. We are now below 10,000, just confirming the inertial separator is on, and the taxi light, the landing light is on.
Miami approach, good evening, Delta 85 at 130,000.
I do want to just confirm that we got the approach loaded in here.
Approach, good evening, expect the outs, runway 9er, the Miami altimeter 30.
Expect ILS, runway 9er, altimeter 30.
That's the most maddening thing ever when you can't see something. Okay, so yeah, there it is. Vaco, Cacti. I should know these probably. I don't know that I've ever given anyone a clearance for the RNAV runway 8 left approach. That's probably a sign there for sure. I do see the Miami airport coming into sight. I'm actually curious about whether I'm going to be kicked off of the VATSIM network for low frames. There is a unique situation that occurs in Miami where that happens. I'm not actually thrilled about this scenery and how it has blacked out the area around the airport. I feel like some of that should be a little brighter, than it is, but compared to the surrounding area over here, like that's brighter, that seems brighter, but
November 24 Bravo, turn to final runway 10 right, for touch and go.
okay, we're starting our right-hand turn. We should get an ascent below 8,000 now, or not now, but just in another few at Jess, we should at least be able to descend a little bit further. And we'll see what this guy wants us to do. So just to visualize what we can expect here, this is runway 8 left, so we're going to land opposite direction from where we're flying right now on this runway right here, runway 8 left. And that is going to be a beautiful, beautiful thing because we're going to be close to the FBO here where we want to park tonight. So lots of lights in Miami. We've got lots of real world objects down there. I don't even want to know what my frame rate is right now. That just scares me. So we'll see. I'm going to go ahead and expect that at some point he's going to give us direct to one of these fixes. So I'm going to leave this guy open down here so that I can easily navigate my flight plan. Not too worried about the traffic right now. This guy should be watching us pretty close. Descend to maintain 3000.com 1522. I saw the Opelika airport just below us there, so we're overflying it pretty much directly.
Ready to taxi runway 10 left.
Sterling 006, runway 10 left, taxi via Tango, Tango 5 Bravo.
And now we're going to just slow. I don't want to be any faster than about 210 probably right now.
Delta 85.
So, of course, in the descent, I'm going to have to pull back just a little bit more. I just want to maintain 210 knots here. This airplane, not really a problem for maintaining under 250 knots in the Bravo. That's not really a problem at all. But you know, we're getting close to where we need to be here. It's not really something I want to do. Having this plane flying any faster than about 210, so we're pretty close to that now, and makes me happy. This makes me happy. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to ditch this guy, and I am going to pull up the localizer runway 8 left approach, and that's us right there flying the downwind. I just realized, of course, that you guys have been looking at Navigraph for the past few minutes, and I'm so sorry about that. And I will certainly take care of that, but I just wanted to kind of give you a chance to see where we're at. If I look out the left window, we see the airport over here to the, well, if the post wasn't in the way, we would. And we're flying out into the abyss of the of the Everglades in the middle of the night. So let's turn off Navigraph for now, and let's watch the approach happen.
Miami departure, get line W125, carefully choose departure, procedure.
And we can expect Miami Tower on probably, let's see, 118 tree. So let's get that ready. Trying to just stay one step ahead of everything here so that we're not struggling when it comes time. We're 4,500 descending 3,000. 205 knots. That's okay. We'll just go ahead and maintain 210 until we're turned. Well, it kind of depends on how we get vectored here to the fix. So the final approach fix here is Lycee, as you can see here on the Navigraph chart. So I can probably expect to fly 4 miles past Lycee and then be maybe turn direct Lycee or something like that. I'm not quite sure what we're going to get, but this is oh, I'm sorry, this is the RNAV runway 8 left. Obviously that's the wrong fix, but it's the same principle, cacti. So we can probably be expected to fly past cacti and then be given direct cacti at some point.
Runway 9 or left, clear land.
Clear land, 9 or left.
We'll go ahead and sync our heading bug. That way, when we're given a heading to turn to intercept, we don't have to do too much funny business there. We are slowing down pretty significantly. That's okay with me. I don't want to fly too far on the downwind. There's really no reason for that.
Miami departure, good night. United 101 is 4,000 climbing to 5,000 feet with you.
United 101, Miami departure, radar contact, climb maintain 16, correction, 7,000.
Climb and maintain 10,000, United 101.
United 101, climb maintain 7,000.
Okay.
7,000, United 101, thanks.
We're down to Vikov now.
Delta 85, descend maintain 8,000.
Down to 8,000, Delta 85.
There it is, folks, the Everglades in its beautiful dark glory. Not much to see out there. So I've reduced to 180. I don't really want to be much faster than that on this downwind leg, especially given the... Here we go.
22, turn left heading 180, vectors to final.
Left heading 180, vectors to final, .com 1522.
November 24, Bravo, turn final leg for only 01 right for full stop.
November 24, Bravo, runway 10 right, clear to land.
Clear land, runway 10 right, 24 Bravo.
Okay, and now we are, just to be clear, guys, just want to show you what's going on here. Oh, rain, really? That's what we're doing. So we're now flying towards the localizer. So we should expect to turn back towards the left now. And if he gives me anything, I'm just going to turn it like, you know, heading 100 or something if he gives me direct KMCO. Because I don't want to take time fussing with this. And we don't need to worry about icing right now because of the temperature.
5 miles from Vikov, fly heading 120, maintain 3,000 till established on the final approach course, cleared RNAV runway 8 left approach.
3,000 till established heading 120, clear the RNAV runway 8 left approach, .com 1522. Okay, now we're heading 120 to intercept. And actually, we're getting pretty doggone close here. And if I had my druthers at this point, I'm going to get ready to go direct Vikov and call it a day. So this is probably not
101, climb maintain 16,000.
Approved, but that's what we did.
16,000, United 101.
I actually flew through it a little bit. That was, I would have liked to have turned just a little sooner. That's what I would have liked to have done. I am going to arm the approach now, and
wings 006, you ready to go?
We should be able to descend below 3,000 once we capture the glide slope, but that's not until 1,500 at CACD, so we can't expect an automatic descent until CACD. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and put us at 1,500 and start a descent after Vikov. So we've just passed Vikov. We can now start a descent. Let's let the plane kind of straighten out, and then we're going to get the plane all set up on its beautiful little path inbound here to the airport. And this, you know, this is the funny thing about this TBM, and I can't tell if it's the TBM's fault or if it's X-Plane's fault, but you see how it keeps wanting to gyrate on the approach course here? So I don't know what that's about, but here we're going to start a descent, dive and drive, so to speak, down to
contact tower 118.3. You take care, Jason.
18.3. We'll see you, Jonas. Goodbye. .com 1522. Okay, so we've got a second before we have to call this guy, and I just want to make sure we're starting that descent. And we are. We're starting at 1,500 feet per minute. That's probably pretty steep for a final approach course. We're pretty slow where we ought to be. Um, we're like 200, so we pull that back just a hair. We'll get back down to our 180 knots. I think that's not too unreasonable of something. MiamiTower.com 1522 is on the RNAV runway 8 left.
.com 1522 Miami Tower, good evening. Field, your 12 o'clock, 7 miles, report in sight.
We have the field, it's raining pretty heavy.
.com 1522, roger, wind 120 at 5, circle to land, runway 12, runway 12, clear to land.
Okay, we did get Ada Sierra, 12 was closed. Is it open again?
They opened it just for you.
Okay, all right, we'll plan to circle to land runway 12, .com 1522. Okay, well, that's a bit of a complication. We are visual with the field, and that's okay. But at this point, I guess we'll go ahead and let it start down at Cacti. We'll take over manual control of the airplane. At this point, I do want to put the gear out, so I'm going to slow down even more. And since we got such a weird instruction from the tower, we are in a safe area, 178 or less for the gear. The gear is going to come out. We're going to slow down because of the drag associated with the gear. We're at 1,500 feet and we're about 3 miles. I'm going to disconnect the autopilot, put the yaw damper back on, slow down significantly, put out 1 notch of flaps. And we're circled to land runway 12, which is what we're going to do. And we're going to see if we can make this approach work. This weather is not my favorite at all. This weather is just a little bit obnoxious. We don't need this guy anymore. Oops, look, yes, yes, yes. I hear you. I hear you. I did allow that to happen, and I should not have. So we'll put in a little bit more power. We do have 3 down. We'll turn off the landing. Sorry, all right, we're going to put the next notch in, so we're full flaps. And this is the tough part about a sim, is lining up perfectly, because you kind of got to scroll around and keep the mouse active. It's not really the greatest situation. Also, I have the audio turned down for some reason here, and it's not ideal, because honestly, the aircraft sounds mean a lot more to me than anything else.
Tango now current, wind 2006, altimeter 3006.
So actually, that's good. He gave us a runway that's a little more aligned with the wind. So we like that. There's the minimums call out. We are visual with the field and have been for a while. Now, I don't know. This is X-plane. There's a good chance I should not have accepted this. 200, we're going to disconnect the yaw damper. The yaw damper is off so that we have rudder authority. And the PAPI, we're a little high, but you know what? We got plenty of runway to work with. I'd rather be at the right speed than to worry about hitting the touchdown zone exactly. So here we go. We are now 20. We're coming back on the throttle. We'll hold it off. Oh, that's going to be tough. Let's see. There we go. Oh, we bounced. Okay. Well, that was ugly, but nevertheless, it wasn't the worst landing ever, I suppose, especially with the weather and the complication and whatever. So let us taxi down the runway and try to make this next intersection here and throw a little bit of reverse in, beta range to kind of help us slow, and then put it back up into taxi range to help us keep going. And boy, when you have the brakes on this guy set to full toe brake, it makes slowing down without a little herky-jerky motion just a little difficult. So we're just going to roll out here, get our landing light off and our strobe light off since we're now clear. It doesn't matter if the strobe light's off though, because and to be honest, with all the lightning here. So now let's get our taxi chart up for the Miami airport, and here it is. It's weird that they opened this runway just for us, but what I would like to do is taxi Zulu into the FBO. So let's see if the controller is going to be wise enough to do that if we tell them we're parking over at Signature or at the FBO. We'll just call it the FBO. That way that there's no confusion about where we're at or where we're going. So let's do that. Miami Tower, .com 1522 is clear runway 12 at Juliet. We're taxiing to the FBO on the north side of the field.
.com 1522, welcome to Miami. Taxi for the FBO via Quebec, Zulu. Hold short runway 8 right.
Quebec and Zulu, hold short at 8 right. .com 1522. All right, so we're taxiing out. We're going to go ahead and clean up the aircraft. We are bringing the flaps up, and we're going to go ahead and get the trim set since we have a second, and we're taxiing really fast. I don't like that, and that's another thing I don't care for particularly on this aircraft, is not the aircraft itself, but the flight controls with X-Plane and the Logitech throttle quadrant that I have, is I have to move the thing into the beta range in order to engage the taxi range. Now that may be close enough to what has to be done, but I believe there's a toggle gate. So this is taxiway Zulu Zulu. It is a little hard to see, as you can tell. The rain is pretty good here. Thank goodness for the green low vis taxiway
.com
pucks.
1522, cross runway 8 right, cross runway 8 left, continue Zulu to the ramp.
Cross 8 right, cross 8 left, Zulu to the ramp. .com 1522. All right, so we're not going to wait. We're just going to continue straight across right here. And we're coming across Mike now. And let's see, there we go. We'll cross the runway. Here we go, across the runway. And we'll follow the green dots. So this is looking pretty good. So right now I'm not too worried about much. We're in the runway environment. We'll put the strobe light back on until we get out of the runway environment. So we have now crossed 8 right. We're now in the middle of the runways on Zulu. We'll continue that taxi now.
Miami Tower, good
Right
evening,
ahead
Delta
here.
85 on final ILS runway 9er.
Delta 85 Miami Tower, good evening, wind 200 at 6, runway 9er,
Such, and then now we're going to cross runway 8 left.
Delta 85.
Tower, getting FedEx.
Let's see, that's not
back
good.
With you, IFR to
Actually,
Boston.
I can't see the doggone taxi route because of the rain. There's Zulu. We picked up Zulu there.
I'll amend your cruise altitude to 330, and I have your clearance advice ready.
FedEx 66.
And here we go, FBO.
And ready to copy.
All right, there we go. Getting into the FBO now. Strobe lights off because we're in the environment here, or we're in the FBO environment. And here we go into the ramp here at the Miami Airport. And I believe the brakes are hot. Yes, yes they are. And that's probably owing to the fact that I did not use the reverse as much as I probably should have. And I might have ridden the brakes just a little bit on the way over, but that's okay. We'll dismiss that from the sim so we don't have to stare at Totortico's or Sasso's message there. And we're just going to pretend this is where we're parking right here. We'll turn off the taxi light so we don't blind the guys, and also kill the nav light. We will set the parking brake and start dismissing. At .com 1522, go ahead.
.com 1522, you're not allowed to park there.
Is there a reason?
No.
Okay, yeah, we coordinated with the FBO before we came in, so I think we're good.
Oh, very, very good.
Thanks for the control tonight.
No problem. Talk to you later.
All right, so let's get all the good stuff off here. We are in flight idle. That's what's expected. We'll let it sit there for just a few seconds while we initiate shutdown. Just running the after landing checklist. The DI system is off. The inertial separator is on and has been since we got here, but we're going to turn that off now.
Do you have a gate today?
The airframe de-ice was on. That's strange. That is, all right, there we go. Mistake, here we go.
Via, let's do this. Taxi the ramp via Tango, Yankee, November.
All right, we made a mistake.
Tango
We
Yankee November for Delta
let's get VATSIM's audio turned off here. Let's tune to a frequency where there's nobody, and that way we don't have to listen to those other guys. Wow, this weather is popping right around here. Let's go outside the aircraft once we shut it down and just take a look around. But for right now, we need to get out of this thing because at this point we're just wasting fuel. So let's take it over here. Oh, look at that. We caught a switch of the fuel tank selector. We'll go to low idle. And of course, as advised here by the system, we need to turn off the bleeds in the air conditioning unit here. And now we get ready for about 300 different CAS system messages and master warnings and master cautions. As the aircraft comes to a halt, 10 seconds there, idle cutoff. And we start to dismiss some messages. There we go. It's like a game of whack-a-mole. You have to be ready to dismiss them. Oh, there we go. The aux boost pump is on now. We'll turn that off since we don't need it on. Manual switch is off. We'll turn the trims off. We'll start dismissing those little annoying sounds. The ignition stays there. The starter stays there. All the lights are off. That's good. Let's come down here. Off across the board. Landing gear is down. Parking brake is set. Flight idle. The flaps are up. We don't need to worry about anything here. And actually, you know what an interesting question would be is, has the radar automatically turned off? Yes, so that's in standby mode, and so is that. Perfect. So the squat switch on the, for lack of a better term, on the TBM must have turned that off for us, which is excellent. We don't have to worry about doing that. That's really good. Now let's see if we can tune back to Miami Tower and do some listening as we step outside the aircraft. But before we do that, let us make sure we put in our wicks, our pitot cover, our chocks on the wheels,
Aircraft Miami
static
Tower is now offline.
tire
Contact approach
caps.
for tower control on 124.85. Again, contact approach 124.85.
Yep.
All right,
Roger
and
that to Delta 85.
so he's signing off. Let's go up and listen to the approach controller.
2000, Delta 1980.
And we'll just have a listen. So this is the end of the road for me. I'm going to shut down the stream in a bit, but I'm going to leave the airplane on, and we're going to listen to control and maybe just take a look outside the Miami airport for just a little bit. So guys, it's been a pleasure. Enjoy your evening and enjoy the sights and sounds of the Miami airport.